my gateway guru, say that 3 times fast, my gateway guru into metaphysics, a guy named Wayne Dyer, who once said, "Don't die with your music in you." And that doesn't mean that we all have to become singers or performers or okay guitarists. It simply means that there is a quality within each of us that this world needs if it's ever going to become whole and help us awaken to the truth of ourselves as originally blessed human beings with this divine mission to fulfill, because we all have music in us. That's something that within, be it a great talent or a small gift, that this world is incomplete without. Dyer's daughter Serena writes about this, saying, "Not dying with your music still in you is not about what you do with your life, it's about how you lead your life." So no matter what your vocation is, you can bring your music into the world, whether you're flipping burgers or leading entire countries or anything in between. Our music is the divinity that we all share. That higher divine self that knows what we do with our lives is less important than the spirit with which we do it, because that spirit is what is our music. So even in the darkest times, our music can come forth from us. It can heal us from the inside out and bring that healing melody into the world. And we die with our music still in us when we trade our divine tune that sings us, and for the somebody, when we trade that divine music for that somebody done somebody wrong song of the ego that keeps us in grievance, and it keeps us in this never-ending search for fleeting joy and peace and love that we find outside of ourselves. So this morning, Jubilants, I'm going to invite you to listen deeply for the song that is within you, that song that sings us, so we never have to sing the ego's song again, because when you can hear the music within yourself and blend it with the music of everyone around you, then the whole world gets to sing, "Oh, yeah." So I begin this morning with a little bit of trepidation. I hope that this will be okay. You see, I have this beautiful story to tell you, but after I investigated the source of this story, I ran across, it was just one article, but it was one very lengthy article about why this story itself might be considered racist. It's the kind of story that this author says white people like to tell about black people in some romanticized fashion. Now, I understand the concern because, you know, we white folks, we have this history of reacting in mainly two ways, there you go, when we come across things that we don't understand, all right? 2 things we do. We either appropriate it in some way for our own use, or we destroy it, right? Am I right? I'm right about white people, yes. This morning, though, I would like to offer this story in the spirit of tenderness that it awoke within me when I heard it. And so I mean no disrespect, and I certainly honor the culture that the story comes from. I think the underlying beauty of the story might redeem any other controversy that especially this one writer might have felt about it. The story is told by Buddhist monk Jack Kornfield, and it is the story of an African village where the birthday of a child is not when they are born, or even when they are conceived. Instead, they consider their birthday to be when the future mother has the desire to bring the child into the world. So when the child becomes a thought in her mind, she goes out into the wilderness, and she sits quietly for however long it takes for her to hear the baby sing its song to her. And once she hears that tune, she sings it to herself. She teaches it to her partner. As they make love, they sing the song together to invite the baby into the world. And when the mother becomes pregnant, she sings the song to the growing child in her womb. And when it is born, everyone sings the song of the child. And as it grows up, everyone in the village, they know each other's song. They learn the song of the child, and if it falls down, they pick it up and they hold them. They rock them and sing them their song. The song is sung at rites of passage as the child comes of age and gets married all the way to the end of their life. And when the child grows old and is ready to die, friends and family gather around, and for one last time, they sing their song. And I'm certain that there is more context, more richness to this tradition than this simple story can capture. But I think at its heart, the message is universal. We're all born with a song. We're all born with that higher divine self, that formless, eternal part of ourself that sings itself into existence in this bodily world and then spends its time here helping us to remember our part in this song of unity. Listen, today's reading from A Course in Miracles begins. Perhaps you can catch a hint of an ancient state not quite forgotten, dim perhaps, and yet not altogether unfamiliar, like a song whose name is long forgotten, and the circumstances in which you heard it completely unremembered. Not the whole song has stayed with you, it says, but just a little wisp of melody, attached not to a person or a place or anything particular. But you remember from just this little part how lovely was the song, how wonderful the setting where you heard it, and how you loved those who were there and listened with you. Jubilance, the song of unity that we carry a piece of, is hard to hear in this world. Because while we're here, nobody sings our song to us. Instead, we all learn the ego's song. We're taught to sing about worldly success. We're taught to sing the song of our political or religious tribe. We're taught to sing the song of our culture, the song of capitalism, the song of competition and consumerism. In short, this world teaches us that ego's top hit called Seek But Do Not Find. This song has a great beat, and it's easy. It's so easy for us to dance to it. But in reality, it is a dissonant song that is meant to keep us confused and competing with one another. At some point, though, if we truly seek a better way to live in this world, that little wisp of melody that isn't attached to anything in this world can be dimly heard in our heart and our mind. And if we are willing to listen deeply for the song of our soul that allows us to drift away into that higher divine self, that's the entrancing melody that we would sing instead of the ego's dissonant earworm. But we are afraid of that divine tune. The Course tells us our fear is because we believe the ego's lie, that if we listened to and sang only that song, that ancient wisp of a melody, if we started to truly sing that, then we would lose everything in this world. It tells us we'd have to give up everything we hold dear: friends, family, jobs, houses, reputation, power, influence, all the trappings that the ego says we must value and live into. And yet, a Course says, you know that nothing in the world you learned is half so dear as this. Nothing in this world is half as dear as this song. Listen, it says, and see if you remember an ancient song you knew so long ago and held more dear than any melody you taught yourself to cherish since. I invite you this morning, Jubilance, tune into that soul song that wants you to hear it, that wants you to learn it and sing along with it, and then teach it to everybody around you so you can help them remember that they too have a song. And that if you sing your part and they sing their part, it will match, it will be beautiful, and it will create real freedom for the whole world. You know, your ego's idea of freedom is this endless circle of futile choices that always leads you back to despair, always back to unfulfilled desire. Your soul, though, your soul, it knows that true freedom lies in remembering the divine song that you were given, that ancient song that frees you from the world's endless looping song of wanting and having and losing and doing it all over again for as long as you live. So what? The question this morning is, do you want to hear the divine song? The one that is your unique song in the world? If so, here's the prayer that I want you to start saying every single day to bring that song to you so you can hear it. You ready for this prayer? It goes, give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I want to get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Every singer and songwriter will tell you that not all of their babies are pretty. Some songs are catchier than others. Some songs, they really are better than others. And this, I think, is our greatest fear of listening deeply for our own song. The ego wants to ask, well, what if our song isn't pretty? What if the song that we're meant to sing isn't special? What if we're disappointed in the sound of our own song? What if my song sounds like the alto part in the choir, a Johnny One Note singing an E flat the entire time I'm here? I mean, really, who wants that? What if I don't get the melody? What if I'm just stuck singing a note now and then? These are valid questions, but they all come from the ego, because the ego has us convinced that everybody's got to have the melody. Everybody gets a medal. We're all special. And, its reasoning is solid. I mean, we're all individuals, right? And as individuals, we all have that special melodic song that we want to sing. You know what's happening here? If the ego can keep us singing what we think is our song, that is surely my song because it's pretty and it's the melody, and we think ours is more important than someone else's song, well, then it can just keep us in competition. That's just still another movement of the song seek but do not find. Keeps our soul trapped in this cage of separation. And it's not to say that every part of the song that we have is not unique. It is. But in the way that parts of a larger song are unique. Now, when you listen to parts of a song individually, out of context from the larger song, they often sound weird. They sound boring. Sometimes they sound like they could be even dissonant with other notes going on. Now, Michael is going to help us out this morning and play a few examples of some lines of a song that you all know, you've all heard it before, but he's going to play some individual parts that don't make much sense when you hear them in isolation. Michael?
So I'm going to play three different parts. I'm going to play this is for an orchestra, so there's bass and cello parts, one thing, in octaves, and then I'm going to play the viola part, and then I'm going to play the trumpet part, which you'd think was important, but you'll see why it doesn't sound that important. Here's the first one, cello and bass. Here's the viola part, and you can see why viola players get made fun of, but we're important.
Sounds like the alto part.
Here's the trumpet part. Now, in Beethoven's time, this is going to be Beethoven, trumpets could only basically play 4 notes. So they chose them very carefully. But it's not going to sound like much without everything else.
So when you hear all that in isolation, thank you, Michael, kind of dull, right? Whatever, you're walking around, but that horn part might be yours. Who knows? But when you put all of them together, our one song of unity, when it is combined, it produces that ancient tune that frees our souls. And this is why it's important for each of us to go within, to listen deeply for the part we have to contribute to the larger song, even if the ego finds it dull or redundant. Recently, we went out and saw the Columbia Philharmonic's 4th of July show at the Fireflies Stadium. Now, watching an orchestra can help you learn about how all the seemingly disparate parts of a song work together. There are times when the brass was the loudest, there were times when the woodwinds took the melody, and there were times when the piccolo player was probably just balancing her checkbook in her head because she sat there and didn't play a single note for the entire song. What fascinated me the most, though, were the percussionists. There was one dude in particular who sat through most of the songs. On occasion, he'd stand up and he'd pick up the cymbals and clash them together, or he'd walk over to the chimes and play a few notes. And then he'd play the triangle, and then he'd sit back down. And I figured he probably had the easiest job in the entire orchestra. It was just once in a while, ding, 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 ding. Michael set me straight. He said, he's paying attention the whole time. His part is very important. And if he misses it when the time comes, it ruins the whole piece. Even the triangle player is an integral part of the band. It's possible, Jubilants, that when you listen deeply for your part of this song of unity, you may find yourself sitting around a lot. You may find that your part is silent for much of the song. But it doesn't mean your part isn't important. Even if you don't think you have much to contribute, the whole song turns on you paying attention and doing your part when it's needed, or else the whole song falls apart. The dissonance we experience in this world outside of ourselves is because we're not paying attention. We're not listening to our song. We're still jamming to seek but do not find. But when we pay attention, then we understand Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's poem. God sent his singers upon the earth with songs of sadness and of mirth, that they might touch the hearts of men and bring them back to heaven again. The first a youth with soul of fire held his hand a golden lyre. Through groves he wandered, and by streams playing the music of our dreams. The second with a bearded face stood singing in the marketplace, stirred with accents deep and loud the hearts of all the listening crowd. A gray old man, the third and last, sang in cathedrals dim and vast, while the majestic organ rolled contrition from its mouths of gold. And those who heard the singers three disputed which the best might be. Their ego arrives. Who's better? For still their music seemed to start discordant echoes in each heart. Now we're arguing about whose music is better. But the great master said, I see no best in kind, but in degree I gave a various gift to each, to charm, to strengthen, and to teach. These are the three great chords of might. And he whose ear is tuned aright will hear no discord in the three, but the most perfect harmony. Jubilants, we are those singers. We are the ones who have been sent to this earth to sing our part in our unity. Instead of arguing over who has the better part, let us understand our part, and that it is just as important as every other. When our ear is tuned aright, we will hear no discord in this world, because we will hear the beautiful music from everyone around us, and all we will hear is perfect harmony. We're singing this song all the time. The Course says, beyond this world of right and wrong, better or worse, there is, it says, an arc of golden light that stretches as you look into a great and shining circle. And all the circle fills with light before your eyes. The edges of the circle disappear, and what is in it is no longer contained at all. The light expands. It covers everything, extending to infinity, forever shining, and with no break or limit anywhere. Within it is everything joined in perfect continuity, nor is it possible to imagine that anything could be outside, for there is nowhere that this light is not. Jubilants, when we join the parts of our song together, we become that one harmonious, soul-freeing light. This is the moment, of course, says that we can hear and feel this one song we've all been singing for eternity. The song is being sung, Jubilants, right now. It's being sung in this moment. All we need is to tune our ears to it. We will hear no discord. We will hear only harmony. So this morning I invite you, listen deeply to that wisp of melody, that ancient song that we know by heart before we ever came into this world. It is our connection to our higher divine self, and it wants to be sung to this world. And when we remember our part and we sing it, our song of light awakens the song in others. And when we see and hear that light, we can hear the songs of those around us. We remember our unity for everyone. And we all join our voices together in a song that just dissolves the ego's dissonant song. You may think your part is boring, like those snippets that Michael played, but When you listen to those parts together, we bring heaven to earth. That's the beauty that we have to offer the world when we don't let our music die.